Hi, this is Jimmy D from Midwesthockeyinfo with my buddy Trent Barney. Welcome back. It's been a while since we've done a pro show. This is our fourth one, I think, but we did the first three pretty early in the summer, and it's been a while. And we were surprised to find out that really the pro season is not as far off as you might think. The annual prospect tournament in Traverse City, which is kind of really the start of the new season, begins tomorrow or today. You're probably seeing this on Friday. It begins today. All 5 Midwest NHL teams are taking part, Trent.
That's going to be an exciting tournament. Young prospects, guys, battling to make the NHL roster, trying to show the coaches, the GMs what they got.
Yeah, there's so much talent there, and sort of middle range guys who maybe think they got overlooked. And there's even, we were just talking about this, and I'm sure every team has done this. There's a lot of free agent type players, young free agent type players who I guess didn't get drafted or whatever, and they're trying to make this is a big weekend I think for them, a big tournament for them, as they could break into the pro ranks at some level.
Yeah, undrafted invitees. In fact, the Red Wings found one last year in Joe Hicketts. Ended up playing on the Canadian team, World Junior team.
World Juniors? Oh wow!
So
wow, that's a success story there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a pretty big event. If you're a young prospect, or even if you're not a young prospect, you could become one at this event. All 5 teams are in it from the Midwest. As I said, there's 8 teams total. There's 2 divisions. The Gordie Howe division will have 4 teams. Detroit, Chicago. So even the prospects are going to live up to Detroit-Chicago rivalry. Dallas and Carolina. So they'll be playing each other like a round robin. 3 games, 1 against each team. On the other side is the Ted Lindsay division. And that's going to have the other 3 Midwest teams. Columbus, Minnesota, and St. Louis will all be on that side, along with the New York Rangers prospects. So they'll play each other starting tomorrow, continuing Saturday. They get Sunday off. They wrap up round robin play Monday, and on Tuesday, Trent, they're going to be, seeded, and 4th goes against 4th, 3rd goes against 3rd, leading up to the final game of the tournament for the championship.
First against first.
Right. So I think that, everybody wants to get spotted, everybody wants to get seen, and there's a little bit of a incentive in winning a championship along the way, too.
Yeah. And what's really cool is you got Detroit versus Chicago rivalry. You got St. Louis, Minnesota. You got Columbus. I mean, they're not in the same division in the NHL, but, I mean, you got a couple rivalries brought together, so it'll be an exciting...
Every team has somebody that's desperately, I'm sure, or every team has somebody that's desperately trying to get noticed, and every team has somebody that the team itself it wants to get a little bit of a look at. Last year, Trent, I mean, you remember it very well because you're a Wings fan. All summer, the talk was about a young prospect on the Red Wings named Anthony Mantha.
Yep.
He went into this tournament. There was talk that he was going to be the first player in several seasons, maybe decades, to go straight to the pro team, to the Detroit Red Wings, skipping stint in Grand Rapids or whatever, that kind of stuff. And, people were really pumped about the chances of him making the Red Wings. At this exact tournament, he broke his leg. And that ended up being a bit of a disaster for him. He first had to sit out half of the season. It was after Christmas, I think, before he came back. And, as would be expected, he struggled a bit after that because, he's coming back from a leg injury, plus he's 4 months behind everybody.
Yeah.
So now he goes into this tournament, and he might not even be the top guy on their list right now. So he's got something to prove.
Yeah. And I think this is going to be a big one for him, a lot of people, which is crazy because, like you said, he was so high up on everybody's list
Yeah.
as one of the top prospects, and then breaks his leg, has a rough stint in Grand Rapids because, hey, he broke his leg,
Yeah.
so he had how much time off, and then on top of, everyone else advancing in that time he was off, and then starting from go, so he has a lot to prove that he's still a top elite prospect.
Yeah, the Wings we know have 3 first-round picks. Dylan Larkin, he's the one that everybody talked about this summer after he made the jump from Michigan.
Yep.
Played at Michigan Wolverines, and decided that he was gonna forego his college education and jump straight to the pros. He went to Grand Rapids, joined them for a pretty solid playoff run. He looked pretty good, and
Contributed.
And now they're talking about him. So
Yeah.
there's and that's the same on every team. Alex Tuch in Minnesota, that guy's he's having a good summer so far. I think there's going to be a lot of stories come out of this tournament.
Yeah, I think, you always look for those awesome stories. Players who, there's going to be players who are going to get signed by teams, whether it's not the one they're playing for or not, but, there's going to be players signed, dreams made. These players are looking to fulfill dreams, lifetime worth of dreams, and players looking to prove that they belong on the NHL roster. It's going to be definitely all heart.
So I think it's probably going to have the opposite kind of atmosphere that you see early in the season. You go to a team's preseason game, and it's the same in any sport, football, hockey. They're putting guys in the lineup. They're looking at this guy. They're looking at that guy. They're kind of easing their way into the season. This is going to be. I would expect. I wish I could go watch it, but this is, I think, going to be a pretty high intensity level, and just like a lot of pressure on these players, and they're young. Young guys never take a minute off anyway. They play hard all the time.
Yeah, and you have to. This is something these players have played all their life for.
Yeah.
They've dreamed of since they first put on skates. So it's definitely a lot of heart.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to try to follow this tournament. I don't know if we'll be able to do daily updates. Maybe we can do something, Friday, Saturday, do something for Sunday on, how the first 2 games went, and then follow up at the end, because as soon as this tournament's over, within a few days, some of them right away, some of them within a few days, the NHL teams are opening their training camps. So these 5 teams are going to go straight from this prospect tournament to wherever their training camps are. If you're the Red Wings, you're just staying right in Traverse City, and they're going to be starting their training camp process, and that means we're just a few, like maybe 7 to 10 days away from preseason games and regular season right around the corner.
Yeah. And another team I'm looking forward to, Jim, is the Blackhawks. They made some trades, gotten some young prospects back in there.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a team looking to bring in some young prospects. So a good opportunity there for those players as well.
Yeah, I agree. This is an interesting season for the Hawks. They've had that same sort of core group together for a long time. They obviously, because of salary cap issues, had to say goodbye to Brandon Saad, which is that was the shocker of the summer. Patrick Sharp, which I think a lot of people kind of expected he might be gone, and Johnny Oduya, a really good, solid defenseman. But again, I think the writing was on the wall a little bit there. So that if there's ever been an opening in Chicago for a young guy to step in and make the roster, this is it.
Yeah.
And that's rare on a team that is kind of in a dynasty mode.
Yeah, they're definitely in a dynasty mode. But again, the reason they're in dynasty mode is because they had these young prospects that stepped up, Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane, and just took off.
And I think that the door is open more than it ever has been there for some guys to step up. Rockford Ice Hogs had a great season last year, so there's clearly some talent in that organization. And who knows, there might be a new name we're talking about a few weeks from now.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. I think, what we'll do, we'll try to do something on each team a little bit more specific in the days ahead. And, maybe we'll be able to do one show about one team, one show about another team. But for now, I mean, this is a pretty cramped schedule here for the next week or so.
Lots of hockey.
We're just going to look at it from the outside.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, Trent. Hey, thanks a lot for joining me again tonight. I always like coming and sitting on your porch. And we'll talk to you soon. And
Stay classy, Midwest.